So the Giants are coming off a 5-win season. And last year the offense was mediocre at best. And now they lost Odell Beckham. But I think the offense can be better. And I'm going to tell you why. So when I think of Pat Shurmur, the head coach for the New York Giants, the first word that comes to mind is the play-action pass. Pat Shurmur and the play-action pass go hand in hand, and it is a big reason why he got the head coaching job with the New York Giants. He's had a lot of success throughout his career as an offensive coordinator. Now, of course, he had head coaching experience with the Cleveland Browns when they were a very poor team, and he did not do well there. But he had a lot of success molding quarterbacks who were thought to be mediocre and making them have career seasons. That being Sam Bradford, that being Nick Foles. Nick Foles, early on in his career, of course, before his Super Bowl success, had the third highest QB rating in the history of football for a single season at, I think, like 118 under Pat Shurmur. And Case Keenum, the year before Pat Shurmur got this job, had an unbelievable season, and the play-action pass had a ton to do with it. If you look at Case Keenum's numbers, the discrepancy is insane between non-play action pass and play action pass that season. Of course, the Vikings went on to go to the NFC title game that year with a guy that was a career journeyman, a backup, who never had any success in the league before that. And a lot of that was credited to Pat Shurmur and his offense. And when you break down Keenum's numbers in non-play action pass situations, he had a 88 QB rating that year, which is mediocre at best. 5 points worse than Eli last year for the season. In play action pass situations, he had a QB rating of 117, making up for a plus 29 differential between non-play action and play action passes, which led the league. The play action pass in this New York Giant, Pat Shurmur-led offense is imperative. And what makes a play action pass successful? What do you have to do? You have to get into manageable situations. Something the New York Giants failed to do last year in a lot of games. When you look at this chart, the New York Giants, for them to have a successful play-action pass, and what I'm really looking at here is the third and short situation compared to the third and long. This was conducted between the years 2011 and 2017, so this is 7 years worth of data. In third and 3 or longer, teams only run the play-action pass 3% of the time. Once you can get to that third and short, that third and 3-2 manageable situation, that is when they run it on a clip of 19% of the time. When you are unpredictable, that's what makes the play-action pass work, and it makes, of course, for bigger opportunities. Last year in the NFL, teams averaged, on average, 1.3 yards more per reception out of the play-action, and it only makes sense. When the defense doesn't know what's coming, obviously they're going to be more prone to give up big plays. And that is what the New York Giants did better in the second half. When you break down the New York Giants offense between weeks 1 and 8 before the bye and weeks 10 through 17 after the bye, the numbers are startling. The first 8 games of the year last year, the New York Giants averaged 18.75 points a game, which is bad. They had one 30-point game, and they had 5 games, I believe, under 20 points. So the offense was stagnant the first half of the season, and a large part of that had to do with the lack of a running game. The running game, of course, sets up the play-action pass because it makes the defense guess what you're going to do, which is what the play-action pass is designed to do. It's a fake handoff. And last year, in the first 8 games, in which the Giants averaged 18.75 points a game, they only had 18.6 rush attempts in those games. In the second half, where the Giants' offense was incredibly better, and I don't want to hear that it was against poor defenses. They went up against the Cowboys, who were thought to be one of the best defenses in football. They went up against the Bears, who most considered was the best defense in football. The Titans shut them out, and the Titans had a top 5 or 6 defense, and this includes that Titan game, by the way. 0 points out of one of those 8 games. They went up against some very good defenses in the second half. As a matter of fact, you can make an argument they went up against better defense. Of course, they also went up against the Philadelphia Eagles. But in the final 8 games, the New York Giants averaged 26.1 points a game. They averaged more than a touchdown more per game. They also had 4 games in which they scored over 30 points. And 6 games in which they scored 27 or more. So the New York Giants offense was much better in the second half. And the biggest reason for that, look at the discrepancy in rush attempts. It is startling. The first 8 games, they averaged, like I said, 18.6 rush attempts a game. The second half, they averaged 25.6 rush attempts per game, which is 7 more attempts a game. That is a huge, huge discrepancy. You're talking about an increase of almost 50%. And that, of course, opened up the play-action pass. And we saw Eli Manning hit on a lot more deep balls, and he was much more efficient in his passing opportunities because he was able to utilize the play-action pass. Another thing that Pat Shurmur did in the second half that I need to see a lot more of from this New York Giants offense this year was he put Eli Manning underneath center. In the first half, you saw a lot of snaps out of the shotgun. The second half, they made an adjustment. He went under center, and you saw a lot more success for both Eli, Saquon Barkley, and the whole offense in general. So, yes, if the New York Giants can capitalize on what they did last year in the second half, there is no reason to think that this can't be a much improved offense, especially with the improved offensive line, which should help Saquon Barkley and this running game to get the Giants into second and manageable, third and manageable situations where you have the defense on their heels. The other thing that this accomplished was that the Giants did much better in the time of possession the second half, which I think was a big contributing factor to why the defense had more sacks. The defense was more fresh. They were able to get after the quarterback. This is common sense, people, but this is why I think the Giants, if they can do what they did in the second half, and I think that is why they brought in the guys they did. It's why they brought in Remmers. It's why they brought in Zeitler. And you have to figure Hernandez and, of course, Solder on that left side will look much better for this full season. Last year in the second half, it was night and day. Solder gave up 1 sack the last 8 games. He gave up 8 in the first. And there were much bigger holes. Now, Jamon Brown had a lot to do with that, but Kevin Zeitler is a much better offensive lineman who's going to be replacing him. So that is what the Giants have to get back to. They have to get back to the ground and pound to set up the play-action pass, which is what Pat Shurmur's offense is all about. So you drafted Barkley too for a reason. Feed the man the ball. As always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.